Why do we spend so much of our lives trapped in cycles of endless worry? Yet the moment we let go, doors begin to open that we never even knew existed. This question has puzzled humanity for centuries, but perhaps no one understood this mystery better than Michel de Montaigne, the 16th century French philosopher, who discovered something remarkable about the relationship between worry and success. Montaigne once wrote, "My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened." This simple yet profound observation reveals a truth that modern psychology has only recently begun to understand. Our minds are naturally wired to anticipate problems, to scan for threats, and to prepare for disasters that exist only in our imagination. But what happens when we break free from this mental prison? The answer lies in understanding how worry actually works against us. When we worry, our brains enter what scientists call a threat detection mode. This ancient survival mechanism served our ancestors well when they faced real physical dangers. But in our modern world, it has become a source of unnecessary suffering. Worry creates a narrow focus that blinds us to opportunities, solutions, and possibilities that surround us every day. Think about the last time you were deeply worried about something. Perhaps it was a job interview, a relationship issue, or a financial problem. During that period of intense worry, did you notice how your world seemed to shrink? How your mind kept cycling through the same fearful thoughts? How difficult it became to see beyond the problem that consumed your attention? This is worry's most destructive power. It creates tunnel vision that prevents us from accessing our full potential. Montaigne understood this phenomenon long before modern neuroscience could explain it. He observed that the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. This belonging to oneself means freeing your mind from the constant chatter of worry and anxiety. It means reclaiming your mental energy and directing it toward creative solutions rather than imaginary problems. But here's where the magic happens. When you stop feeding energy to worry, something extraordinary occurs. Your mind begins to relax, and in that relaxed state, you become more receptive to inspiration, more open to opportunities, and more capable of making decisions from a place of clarity rather than fear. It's as if worry had been a heavy fog obscuring your vision, and suddenly, the fog lifts to reveal a landscape rich with possibilities. Consider how worry affects your decision-making process. When you're worried, you tend to make choices based on avoiding pain rather than pursuing pleasure or growth. You play it safe, you hesitate, you second-guess yourself. But when worry subsides, you begin to make decisions from a different place entirely. You start choosing what you want rather than what you're afraid of losing. This shift in decision-making opens doors that worry had kept firmly locked. Montaigne also recognized that nothing is so firmly believed as what we least know. Our worries are often built on assumptions, projections, and incomplete information. We worry about what might happen, what others might think, or what could go wrong, but these concerns are rarely grounded in present reality. They exist in a future that hasn't happened and may never happen. When we stop entertaining these fictional scenarios, we free ourselves to engage fully with what is actually happening right now. This present moment awareness is where real power lies. In the present moment, you have access to your intuition, your creativity, and your ability to respond appropriately to whatever situation you're facing. Worry pulls you out of this powerful state and into a phantom world of future problems that exist only in your imagination. The French philosopher noticed something else remarkable about worry's absence. He observed that when people stopped worrying obsessively about outcomes, they paradoxically began achieving better results. This seems counterintuitive. Shouldn't caring more about something lead to better performance? But Montaigne understood that there's a difference between caring and worrying. Caring motivates action. Worrying paralyzes it. When you care about something without worrying about it, you bring a different energy to your efforts. You become more focused, more creative, and more resilient in the face of obstacles. You're willing to take calculated risks because you're not consumed by fear of failure. You can pivot and adapt when circumstances change because you're not rigidly attached to one specific outcome. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, when you stop worrying about whether someone likes you or what they think of you, you become more authentic and attractive. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin, who aren't constantly seeking approval or validation. In work, when you stop worrying about failure and start focusing on the process of doing your best, your performance naturally improves. You become more innovative, more collaborative, and more willing to take on challenges that could lead to growth. Montaigne's insight about worry extends to our relationship with time itself. Worry is always about the future. What might happen? What could go wrong? What we might lose? But life is happening right now, in this moment. When we're lost in worry, we miss the richness of present experience. We miss opportunities for joy, connection, and discovery because our attention is locked onto imaginary future problems. The philosopher wrote, "The value of life lies not in the length of days, but in the use we make of them." Worry steals time from us twice. First, by consuming our present moments with anxious thoughts, and second, by preventing us from taking action that could improve our circumstances. When we stop worrying, we reclaim both our present experience and our power to shape our future through decisive action. There's also a social dimension to this phenomenon. Worry is contagious, and when we're anxious and stressed, we transmit that energy to others around us. People instinctively avoid those who radiate anxiety and worry because it makes them uncomfortable. But when we embody calm confidence, and when we've released the need to worry about every possible outcome, we become magnetic. Others want to be around us, to work with us, to support our endeavors. Montaigne observed that we are all patchwork, and so shapeless and diverse in composition that each bit, each moment, plays its own game. This recognition of life's inherent unpredictability can either fuel worry or liberate us from it. If life is inherently uncertain, then worrying about specific outcomes becomes not just futile, but counterproductive. Instead of wasting energy on trying to control the uncontrollable, we can focus on developing our ability to respond skillfully to whatever arises. This shift from control to response is perhaps the most profound change that occurs when we stop worrying. Worry is fundamentally about trying to control outcomes through mental effort alone. But real power comes from developing our capacity to respond creatively and effectively to whatever life presents. When we trust in our ability to handle whatever comes our way, we no longer need to exhaust ourselves trying to prevent every possible problem. The French thinker also understood that worry often stems from comparing ourselves to others or to some idealized version of ourselves. He wrote, "We are never present with, but always beyond ourselves. When we stop worrying, we become more present with who we are right now, rather than anxiously comparing ourselves to who we think we should be or where we think we should be in life." This self-acceptance doesn't mean complacency. It means working from a foundation of inner peace rather than inner turmoil. When you accept where you are while remaining committed to growth and improvement, you create the optimal conditions for positive change. You're not fighting against yourself, you're working with your natural capacity for development and expansion. As Montaigne's wisdom suggests, when worry exits, space opens for something far more valuable. Trust in life's natural intelligence and your own ability to navigate whatever challenges arise. This trust isn't blind optimism. It's a realistic confidence based on understanding that you've successfully handled difficulties before and can do so again. When you operate from this foundation of trust rather than worry, everything truly does begin to go well. Not because life becomes problem-free, but because you become solution-focused, opportunity-aware, and resilient in ways that seemed impossible when worry clouded your vision.